Hey everybody. Well, it's been a while since I've made a video and we have been super busy, so sorry about that. We have been selling our home and finding a new place to live, and we're moving from the suburbs of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're moving very close to Durham, North Carolina. And it's been a little crazy. Today was my last day working at the Jimmy John's on this side of the state, so still got the shirt on. But yeah, so one of the things that was extremely surprising for us that I wasn't expecting, and honestly, this first year of semi-retirement has been filled with a lot of surprises and headaches, to be perfectly honest. Like, now that I'm almost 12 months into it, I think we're on month number 10 now or something like that, kind of realizing that the first year when you're semi-retired is things are going to be a bit more complicated than they were when you were still working full-time. My tax documents are way more complicated than they were a year ago. My health insurance is more complicated. Figuring out housing has been more complicated. Like, our latest thing is we ran into kind of some trouble trying to rent a place up in Durham because the application process, what I kind of found, is it doesn't ask you about any of your debts that you have. It only asks you about how much income you've made recently. And when we filled out those applications, we haven't been making very much income the last 2 or 3 months because we've been selling a house and fixing up a house to sell and stuff like that. The house has been our main job. I mean, we're earning plenty because we didn't hire contractors to do all the work, but there was one place in particular that gave us a huge hard time trying to rent just a stupid townhome for like $1,200 a month because we didn't have pay stubs from steady jobs. Like, we're just doing delivery apps right now, and they don't give us pay stubs. And it's like, but I mean, here's some documentation that we have $300,000 in assets, so we could just it's completely bonkers to me that we had a hard time convincing this place, and we ended up actually not even signing a lease with them because we just got so much red tape from not providing our income. Yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But like, it's crazy to me to think that, like, I'm not 100% certain that Warren Buffett would be able to get an apartment at this place, because they just kept saying, like, we don't want your W-2s, we want your pay stubs from the last 2 months. And it's like, well, I just explained to you we don't have them because we've been fixing up a house that we're about to sell for $209,000. Like, we can afford this rent, I promise you. We could we could pay cash for the place right now. We could pay 12 months up front right now if we had to. We have the freaking money. So anyway, the thing that ended up being really helpful was we circled back around and started looking at places that were being rented by individuals instead of companies that were doing it for individuals. We wanted to be able to talk to the person who owns the property. And what we did was when they showed us the house, we spent like an hour on it making a paper that kind of had basically like a resume for why we think we would be really good tenants. And it was basically just a brag sheet, just throwing around our credit score, throwing around how much we have in index funds, how much we have in checking, how we have no student loans and no auto loans and no credit card debt and stuff like that. And we threw together some screenshots in a PDF of just like our Vanguard statements and the property assessment for the house and how much was left on our mortgage and blah, blah, blah. And we put that all together in a nice little 3-page document that we handed out to each person when we looked at the home. And that was really helpful. So, sorry, I'm wiggling around, aren't I? So that's something that I think will be a lot easier next time, but at first glance, I didn't realize that the process for trying to exchange money for housing is one that's kind of short-sighted, where the traditional advice, if you're a landlord, is to just look at how much income the person's made in the last 3 months or whatever. And I just think that's bananas that no one even asked on any of the applications what our assets were, what our debt was, what our age was, just none of that. All they wanted is, what's your current income, so we know you can afford the payments. It's like, for all you know, I have a car payment that's $1,000 a month. You don't know, you know? So anyway, it was really frustrating, but we finally got it done, and we're very close to moving and having a new life. Something that's interesting about this move for us is we're going from an 1,800 square foot home with a 2-car garage to a 900 square foot home, no garage. So we have really downsized a lot. We've put a lot of thought into what stuff we actually need, and we've gotten rid of a ton of things. The next step is going to be compression. How can we fit pretty much everything we still have is useful stuff. The question is, how can we squeeze it all, compress it all, so it's going to fit in 900 square feet? And I think storage is an important thing if you're trying to live a really efficient life financially. Every square foot you can get rid of in your house results in savings. It's money that you're not going to have to earn or spend or whatever. So that's something that I'm excited about tackling. I've always had a house that was too big for me. So it's going to be interesting now moving to what I would consider a pretty darn small house for 2 people, 2 kind of middle-classy people who have lots of stuff. So yeah, if if any of that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned, because the next month or 2 we are going to be trying to cram a lot of stuff in that house and just stacking good, important stuff up to the ceiling, and just trying to figure out how to get it all organized and get this new life off the ground. So I guess that's a pretty good update for what we've been up to. Honestly, I don't want to sugarcoat it. I've been so frustrated for the last month. The idea of even making one of these videos, I just felt too exhausted and overwhelmed with what I was already handling. It's been a pretty annoying couple months. It feels like a lot of the stuff that we're trying to do has not been smooth. It's been met with a lot of complication. And yeah, I mean, like I said, getting our health insurance figured out was a pain, and trying to get this move done was a pain. And so I don't know, maybe we're putting it on ourselves and doing this transition, but yeah. Looking back on it, I wish I could have told myself a year ago, listen, when you quit your teaching job, your exhaustion level, the amount of energy that I'll have is going to be more, because I get to sleep in every morning. It's amazing. But the problems that I'm tackling are honestly I'm not as equipped to tackle the problems that I'm running up against now, because they're problems I've never had before and I've never solved before. Back when I was working full-time, yes, I was exhausted, but I was taking care of problems that I had already solved in years past for the most part. I knew what the route was to eventually solve the problems I had, and now it just feels like a lot of darkness and mystery on a lot of the stuff that we're trying to do. So I just thought it might be useful to share some of that for those of you who maybe you're not quite at the semi-retired level yet, or maybe you're past it. But our experience has been a freaking goofy one, so hopefully I'll be a little bit more cheerful on the next one, because, man, what a crazy year. All right, well, I guess I'll see you in Durham. Peace.